I should check if Space Crew has gotten any new announcements. I've been waiting for a while. They've been kinda teasing us on the discussions about it. Come on. Come on. Keep going. Just a bit more. Yep, right there. Now, excuse me. There's Space Crew. Oh? Wait a minute, 21st of October?
اليوم يوم الخميس ما عندي أي واجبات. Andrew and Ambush is here. And I think it's gonna be a fun weekend.
Okay. That's odd. There's nothing about an update? Maybe I'm just seeing things. Love check downloads. Nothing? Nothing. That's odd. Right, how about here? Nope, nothing still. Something whatever. I'm gonna check the Discord. There might be something there. Oh. Wait a minute, that's 8 PM. That's my bedtime. Space Crew. Only took them a year, but it's fine. A two-man skeleton crew and an entire, mind you, free expansion that gives the game a whole new coat of paint. That's quite some dedication.
In that year, I got braces, several haircuts, grew facial hair, and have a good chance of taking off my braces before this video ends production.
We launched Android Ambush to the tune of marching androids, with three particularly evil-looking fellows standing high. Who are they? Don't know. Anyways, several years after the end of the Phasmid War, the horrors of the war was still fresh in our memory. Driving an entire species into extinction and not something that could be easily forgotten, not to mention the virtual lives that have been lost. At this point, I finally remembered that I'd forgotten to unmute my microphone from my headset. No, I did not record with separated audio tracks.
أنا توني لاحظت إنه ما فتحت الميكروفون أصلاً زين. كنت أتكلم طول هذا الوقت. المهم.
Then I went into the recruitment tab for a very good reason.
طبعا تريد وين؟ رير طبعا.
After gearing up my crew, I checked on my light cruiser. named it Vulcan 2 and colored it just like the previous Vulcan, though with a different livery. I noticed one of the new weapons that was introduced in the update, the lightning gun, which could induce an EMP effect on targets, though honestly my brief experience with it wasn't very good. Another thing that I've noticed is how they now display what we're going to unlock next and how much research is needed, plus another little icon that displays on items you can't buy yet with the amount of credits you have. It's the little things. Next, I looked at the mission screen. They added a campaign progress bar to the top, much like the one we had in Bomber Crew. And we were off on our first mission, to defend a colony from a new enemy. And whoever this guy is, I struggled a little bit as I had not played the game since the 1.1 update dropped, and that was a year ago. شوية نقلع طيب أنا أيوه And so we finally let our guns loose on some targets, those being android light fighters. I kept accidentally making custom waypoints during the fight because, despite not requiring to hold right click to look around, I was used to holding it, though thankfully I would later find an option that allows me to change the button to the keyboard. After the short fight, we hyper-jumped to the Arcus, a spaceport, or was Arcus the name of the colony? On an exoplanet, and to be honest, it felt way too close to the atmosphere. I'm almost sure that these are clouds. Then I noticed that defending the Arcus was apparently optional. So it is the spaceport. دقيقة. Defend the Arcus, optional. سلامات? Optional, huh? So for our first mission, it was pretty easy. We were introduced to the first enemy type, an android ambush, and I started relearning how to play Space Crew. Of course, we still had trouble waiting for us in the next sector. Enter Security Officer Asimov. I'm not sure why an awfully humanoid android with the name of a CSGO skin is currently trying to shoot my spaceship, but such are video games. He retreated pretty quickly, which is awfully pathetic, I'd say, for a champion. Once the fight was over, I was ambushed by an ancient enemy, the asteroids. Ayo? 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 Back at Athena, my entire crew shot up to level 3 in their respective skills, unlocked some boring stuff and some new stuff from the expansion like powered gloves. To be fair, I don't remember if they were in the base game or not. I bought some gear and stuff for Vulcan 2 and stopped recording there. That would only be the first out of 4 recordings in the same day. Only a specific few would have seen this coming. After gaining extra funds through suspicious means,
I dropped a bomb in Hitler's bunker, destroyed a German aircraft carrier, drove an entire species into extinction. I better be paid well for all of that and the trauma. I immediately started upgrading my ship and equipment. I appropriately equipped my crew with the best available equipment at the time and checked the mission screen. We had an opportunity to deal with Security Officer CSGO skin, so I went straight for the kill. As soon as he appeared, I prioritized him, set Captain Murphy to the defensive, and watched the fight intently. It only took me 32 seconds after the start of the fight to call for fighter support, and 53 seconds to focus fire. By 134 seconds, Officer Stash was history. I can see now why he ran away so fast in our last encounter. As per video games being video games, all the androids retreated. Why? I have no idea. Are they supposed to be dummies and follow their orders? On my way back to Athena, I was challenged by a mighty foe. A hacking minigame. I remember distinctly that something about checking the back of the object to figure out the puzzle, but I was completely confused on what to do. What was almost as confusing was that when I failed the minigame, no enemies spawned, allowing me to easily go back to Athena Station. There wasn't much to do on Athena, so we immediately deployed to the next story mission. The Orion needed some help with fixing their comms, and our unlucky passenger was the engineer. Underline that word, unlucky. In the next sector, the expansion lived up to its name. After several sectors and destroying a landfill's worth of trash bots, an old challenger appeared. Another hacking minigame. Commander Donlan welcomed us to the Orion and gave us some information after dropping off the engineer. He reveals that the Phasmids have captured and reprogrammed an all-android crew during the Phasmid War, then lying in wait and constructing an army of, well, I already said it, trash bots. Now they want to destroy all humans. What else is new? In the next sector, I took a moment to admire this incredibly pink planet. I was quickly interrupted by the first near-death experience of a crew member. Our security officer Valencia has been ruthlessly zapped and required assistance. Being the only other fast member of the crew, Troy went for the rescue. Afterwards, the two immediately got back to taking out the trash bots. Trash bots, yes, anyways. One sector away from Athena, I was met with an neutrino storm, which I had no clue of its effects, and an optional objective to pick up something. I decided to pick up the item, and a short countdown began and we braced for whatever came next. Surprisingly enough, this wasn't all that bad, though it would be interesting to have to deal with it in the middle of a battle. But wait, suddenly our package started flashing and making a very worrying sound. Seriously? Another neutrino flare struck our ship not too long after. The mission was successful and went fairly well, netting us some decent XP and some pretty neat gear. One of the things that have been unlocked was a new weapon from the expansion, the flak cannon. It seemed pretty mediocre at the time, but later it has proven to be truly the best weapon of choice. I quickly went on to upgrade my ship and equipment, giving the flak cannon a try and changing the side weapons to my classic weapon of choice, the high explosive autocannon. Systems and armor upgrades were all no-brainers too. Our next mission was quite the highlight, an away team mission. These were introduced with the expansion and they are simply an amazing addition to the game. Though before tackling it, I checked my crew members to find out who were the fastest, afterwards giving the 3 speedsters discovery sets, which were actually useless for my playstyle. I had quite an imagination regarding our first away mission. And so, we were on our way to the UDF Space Telescope to destroy it.
It was a bit hard to get used to the camera and controls as away team missions were just a whole other game mode. The UDF Space Telescope is everybody's first away team mission and it is appropriately designed like a tutorial mission. I interacted with switches and pressure plates, and in the next room, some dumb droids next to explodey barrels. I needed no more hints. Power conduits were introduced and then an epic gunfight occurred. The cooling unit was destroyed and a self-destruct timer started, one that was suspiciously ignored as soon as we were out of the place. We unlocked some pretty neat stuff, so I quickly upgraded my ship and equipment. I also removed only energy weapon on my ship, opting for a full kinetic set, just like my first run. And just before I ended the recording, I noticed somebody missing from the podium.
Wait, if the Orion's communications needed to be fixed, how did we get their message? We were on a mission to locate and escort a freighter transporting ore to the Arcus. While passing through sectors, we came across and assaulted an android outpost. Outposts and frigates were added in the 1.2 update, which I somehow forgot about until starting to write the script for this video. And again, I have not played the game much since both of these major updates, which made my android ambush run all the more special as I fail hacking minigames, pummel defenseless outposts, and be ambushed by frigates. When we reached the exact sector, we discovered that the freighter did a little more than get lost, and the cargo was suspiciously perfectly intact. Vulcan 2 temporarily became an armed freighter and was now tasked with getting these supplies to the Arcus. After dealing with all the ships, the computer informed us that a lone android with an odd piece of machinery on his back has ambushed us from the inside of our ship. A couple sectors and a failed hacking minigame later, we reached the Arcus and dropped off the cargo pod. The little green man then wished us a safe journey home. Finally arriving at Athena, my entire crew shot up to level 6 and became able to take on a secondary skill, something that was much needed for my security officer and engineer. Not only that, but we also got the fast jump charge, which is incredibly useful to escape or avoid a fight when used in tandem with stealth mode.
أنا لاحظت شيء. من يوم ما قتلت آسيموف هو مو موجود مع دول الاثنين. المهم, I checked the missions available to me and 3 of them caught my attention. A story mission to destroy a rogue light cruiser, a mission to rescue an legendary crew member, and an away team mission. I eventually decided to take the rescue mission and we were on our merry way. Ships were destroyed, borders were voided, and armor was dislodged. Even an outpost attempted to interrupt our daring rescue mission, which was a lot of trouble for just one random dude lost in space. Though it was for the best, because I finally successfully hacked something. Oh, yes, this is it. The intensity of the fight combined with the leaking engine forced me into using stealth mode, and since I've started using it, it has been one of the best tools in my arsenal, allowing me to safely repair my ship and get my crew in order. When my other engine was damaged, I almost sent Navarrete out into the vacuum of space due to a misclick. It's funny how in both bomber crew and space crew, you can very easily lose someone to a misclick. Be careful, people. Even with the intense volume of fire that we were getting, somehow Troy didn't get any damage, except for radiation poisoning, of course. I came across an Android communications relay, which I proceeded to hack while under attack by asteroids.
آدي ايوه ايوه.
It was good hacking practice, but it didn't help that my ship kept being bombarded by stupid space rocks of all things. They only came when I came close to the gate. Usually in Space Crew, if you sit around in one sector for too long, the game will spawn a few enemies to keep you on your toes. All of that effort was worth it though, because I got to see this. Sadly, I still had to rescue some space creature to finish my mission. I was quickly disrupted by many android spacecraft. We got the awfully humanoid alien on board and went into stealth mode to get our bearings straight. As soon as we were ready for combat, I had the shields overdrived and set all the gunners to focus fire and overdrive, doing what I could to demolish the androids. 3/4 of my hull was in the red. At that point, it could have been a matter of time until Vulcan 2 was replaced by Vulcan 3, but thankfully that wasn't the case. In the first sector during the return journey, Vulcan 2 was struck by neutrino flare after neutrino flare, all while I was taking a gamble and hacking an unstable wormhole device.
We're out of here.
Something's not right.
Does not look very fine. Finally back at Athena, we unlock the Ultra set, which is one of the best sets in the entire game. I also replaced Valencia with our new legendary security officer.
That's just an alien. Literally just giving me an alien. How is Valencia compared to this creature?
At the time, I had doubts that the Ultra boots also shared the functionality of the gravity boots, so I decided to only give it to Rathra to test out in the next mission. I even went as far as to say the following.
No way I'm going to turn on the gravity generator. Nobody likes the gravity generator. All my homies hate the gravity generator. Gravity generator needs repairs? Oh no. Anyways. Well, I did it, guys. My crew is now entirely in purple. I am quite enjoying this.
We deployed to our next mission, a simple away team mission where we have to clear out the facility of enemies, but before we launched, I was chatting on Discord.
Okay. Just send me a message. This guy. 204 movement speed.
Then I proceeded to show hostility to our new crew member. They even sound like an alien. There's an alien in my ship. After dealing with the phasmids, I really don't trust aliens, man. We reach and land at the UDF ore refinery, and I sent my security officer, my rear gunner, and the captain, yes, the captain, into the refinery. The mission was very simple, so it was done and dusted fast, but before we left I tried finding the extra crates, the same crates that I did not know could be destroyed. On our way back, we encountered an incredibly green comet. Could it be that the asteroids have allied with radiation against the UDF? It was quite tempting to see what would happen if the timer ran out, but we weren't sticking around to find out. Nothing much happened from there on, and I called it a day.
Something unique about Bomber Crew and Space Crew is the fact that everybody, well, a lot of people usually for the most part have a unique experience. We start and end the same, but yet we have varying experiences throughout the game. Maybe somebody had an experience full of tragedy. Every major mission they've been on, his crew's dead, his bomber's destroyed, his cruiser's gone, that kind of stuff. You know, you lose somebody to a misclick. Maybe I had my engineer on the wing and I emergency dived, forgetting that he was there. Similarly in Space Crew, in my very first run in fact, I sent out an engineer to fix one of the engines while we were in the vicinity of a black hole. So as soon as he was out the door, he went a little bit like this.
It was time to rumble and tumble with the rogue light cruiser, but Murphy took a quick walk around his seat while I remembered that I should have replaced Rathra's Ultra boots with Grav boots. We came across an ion storm, which was also added in the 1.2 update. Apparently, all that the ion storm does is just cut the power. Boring. If you remember the last video, an android with a weird looking backpack was on our ship. Now we've been boarded again by such an android and we discovered that they are actually carrying explosives, planting them on critical components of your ship. I will admit it's quite a nice change of pace compared to the Phasmids just getting more and more armor and eventually acquiring gravity boots. I sent out Choi to deal with it, but it just exploded by the time he got close to it. Just another day of the escape pod bay getting irradiated. Finally, we reach the intended sector and face off with the light cruiser. Sometimes an enemy with the same abilities as you makes for a good fight. I called in fighter support and set a custom waypoint straight towards the enemy cruiser. Wanted to take it head on. Gunners to overdrive and focus fire. The enemy fought back with tooth and claw. Yet they went down quickly. Our epic fight was sadly very short. After scanning the wreckage, we discovered that this is the cruiser that the all-android crew used in the Phasmid War. That's nothing really interesting there. Comms officer David showed up, looking awfully smug as usual, though I couldn't find him anywhere. Shade hack.
Ah, come on.
Guess the UDF aren't the only ones that have cloaking technology. Thankfully my hacking skills have significantly improved, so I was able to disable their cloak generators, giving us a fair chance to fight the android stealth craft.
That's him. Please kill him quick. He's just right there. He's right there. Surely just let him escape.
My crew really let a champion run away. Regardless of that tragedy, we returned home, unlocked some stuff, and upgraded my ship. I also switched all of my crew to Ultra Boots, which I think was a very bad decision. Proceeding with our new task, the Orion needed an escort for a freighter that was transporting supplies to the Arcus. Apparently, androids have been disrupting the supply route. Not only was there increased enemy activity in the Sol sector that was between the Orion and the Arcus, but also comms officer David, who claims he has a brain the size of a planet. For a supposedly smart android, he sure seems to lack common sense. He quickly retreated, claiming it's a tactical retreat for a master plan that is obviously not his. Continuing forward without Smugface McGee behind our tail, we reach the Orion and immediately get ambushed by androids going after the freighter. Apparently the Orion saw fit that they do absolutely nothing to help as their precious supplies are under attack. Honestly, this makes me glad that... Let's go right there and park. Right there, like all your buddies. Good job. Need to get a bit closer to park, buddy. Back up a bit. Buddy? Buddy? Okay then. Well, at least it's not my problem. It's their problem. Warned me about this mission being the hardest in the expansion, even more so than the finale, so I decided to grind instead, beginning by chasing down comms officer P-Brain. Dummy David pretends that it's an ambush instead of a confrontation and forgets the radio is on. Officer Insufferable proceeded to use his alleged smart AI planet brain to broadside Vulcan 2. Big mistake. I didn't even get to finish hacking before Troy took him out with a high explosive autocannon. I replaced the side weapons with flak guns and switched the front to the HE autocannon as I was starting to truly consider switching to all flak. Despite the simplicity of our next mission, Captain Talos would be the next meddler in our bot trashing affair. I set my crew to berserk, and unfortunately, eye patch droid ran away in less than 30 seconds. I'm serious, I actually counted. 25 seconds to be exact. I also realized that I forgot the risks of overdrive. In one of the previous videos, I mentioned something about the fact that it would be interesting to have a battle in the middle of a neutrino storm. Good times. After grinding a bit in the previous episode, I thought I was finally prepared to take on the android flotilla. They were prepared to strike at the colony mission, and Command makes yet another stupid decision by sending a single light cruiser to deal with the entire fleet. Ships, radioactive comets, and the expansion living up to its name yet again, tried to stop us in our mission, but they were no match for Vulcan 2 and its legendary crew. Finally, we hyper-jumped to the flotilla, not knowing what to expect. With the destruction of the mothership, we finally had some breathing space as the smaller ships buzzed away, but we still had to deal with the frigates. And it was also my first time dealing with frigates. It was nice to have something that's in between a mothership and smaller crafts. Finally, after 13 minutes of hectic, panicked, chaotic fighting, Vulcan 2 came out a survivor. I switched out the flak guns in favor of the flak particle mix. Personally, I wasn't a big fan of using these double weapon pods because you had to manually manage it, so whichever update came out with auto switch made them a viable choice for me. We launched on our next away team mission to destroy an engineering facility. We got there easily without much interference, and likewise the objective was quickly done and dusted. The self-destruct timer started and my crew proceeded to the next room in an orderly fashion. I realized that turrets are indestructible, but thankfully the androids are stupid enough to have them disabled by pressure plates. Koyama accessed the hacking terminal and
Think fast, Chuckle Nut!
equipping the new crew members. I didn't even let them wear purple due to the devastating loss of Choi and Koyama. With the loss of the two, the war against the androids became personal and we would immediately go on our next mission. We were tasked with recovering alien technology that was in an enemy outpost. After a fairly peaceful journey, I sent out the grizzled former rear gunner, Navarrete, with 2 rookies into the outpost. It was fairly simple to get in and out, but the mission taught me that in away team missions, a personal shield is king. We run into a unique random encounter where I have the optional objective of protecting a friendly cruiser whose shield recharger is broken. In 3 minutes, all hostiles were eliminated and somehow we failed the objective. I'm going to safely assume that this is just a developer oversight. The rest of the day was uneventful. We proceed with yet another main mission, this time to destroy the rogue android base. Jumping from sector to sector, we come across the UDF-8 station, which I knew was an obvious trap from past experience. On this particular boarding occasion, I waited for all the androids to get inside before purging the cruiser, at which point an android nearly gets into the reactor room. Then a very odd thing happened. Somehow, the explosive planting droid left one in the reactor room. I didn't seem to have noticed it, and as a result, Vulcan 2 nearly met its end as the reactor went subcritical. Believe me, I was almost tempted to let the reactor go critical just because I wanted to see what happens. In my haze, another android planted another explosive in the reactor, through the closed doors, somehow. That second explosive could have ended Vulcan 2 if it weren't for Makela fixing the reactor in time. After weathering the storm, we hyper-jumped to the android base. Who would have thought a death ray made out of scrap could be capable of moving at such high speeds? Again, the androids prove their intelligence by having a convenient blind spot that allows me to easily hack the scrap ray. I took my sweet time exercising my hacking skills. More convenient weak point smashing later. Hey, at least it isn't Bomber Crew, and she was wearing a spacesuit. We encounter Captain Talos again, and this time we have a happy ending. Though, defeating him didn't do anything to get all the other androids off of us. Back at Athena, how many times did I say that? We unlocked the legendary auto hack that can save us in a pinch. We also get to see this. Our next mission had us rushing to help the Orion from going boom, as it should. Apparently, that structure that separated from the android base earlier is currently smashing the Orion. In other words, we indirectly caused the destruction of the Orion, and that makes me happy. Throughout this whole run, I've been taking the safe route, but this time, daringly enough, I've decided to take the fast route instead, which as it turns out, wasn't all that bad. To be fair, I have stupid amounts of money I got by cheating. Unfortunately, the game required me to risk Vulcan 2 and its crew to rescue Commander Donlan. If it were up to me, I would have left Donlan on the Orion to die.
Apparently it was optional to keep Commander Donlon alive, but I assumed it was another Defend the Arcus case. "47 minutes of footage remain. 2 more missions to end the android menace." Boringly enough, for this mission we had to scan the WMD for convenient video game boss weak points. Ion storms, radioactive comets, and androids all ambushed us on our simple reconnaissance mission. If the battle with the flotilla was a navigational nightmare, then this was an identificational nightmare. Everything was so red in the sector, even the comets were red. I barely managed to locate enemies even while peeking at the radar. Nothing much happened, both engines had to be repaired at the same time and Vulcan 2 casually flew through a beam. For the first time in my playthrough, a frigate has ambushed us, which, at the time of writing this part of the script, 17th of December 2021, makes me want to replay the game to see if I can get more encounters like this. I'm not gonna lie, that lone frigate put up quite the challenge, an epic 1v1 if I may say so myself. The androids were no match for Vulcan 2 as we returned back to base. It was a race against the clock to stop the android mega weapon from destroying the Arcus. After a not so rough journey, we finally reached the android mega weapon and engage it. I'll be honest, I expected something harder, but I guess that's what I get for playing on medium. Returning to get our heroes welcome, sore android losers ambushed Vulcan 2, of course utterly failing in their attempt. The jump gate to Athena was there, but there was an escape pod nearby. I knew exactly what to expect, and yet, I went for it. Then I noticed that defending the Arcus was apparently optional. Once the fight was over, I was ambushed by an ancient enemy, the asteroids. Ayo! 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 Back at Athena. Suddenly, our package started flashing and making a very worrying sound. That's just an alien. Literally just giving me an alien. It was time to rumble and tumble with the rogue light cruiser, but Murphy took a quick walk around his seat while I remembered that I should have replaced Rathra's Ultra Boots with Grav Boots. Just another day of the escape pod bay getting irradiated. But also, comms officer David, who claims he has a brain the size of a planet. Apparently the Orion saw fit that they do absolutely nothing to help as their precious supplies are under attack.